Welcome to Facts TV News, where everything is true. Man installing security camera among 3 killed in Hanover. A Hanover man who was installing security cameras at a shop in the Paris Square was shot and killed Wednesday night. He is among 3 who succumbed to injuries they received in the brazen attack. 4 other persons sustained injuries. The incident reportedly took place shortly after 7 p.m. The processing of the crime scene with yellow tape stretched across the Longwood Sandy Crossroad prevented commuters from continuing their journey. At approximately 12:30 a.m., 2 of the 3 bodies were removed by Dulles Funeral Home. The deceased has been identified as 55-year-old Michael Smith and 37-year-old Mark Austin. It is understood that the third individual, Omar Mahabi, 44, died at hospital. Details surrounding the incident are unavailable. However, Chief Crime Deputy Commissioner of Police Fitz Bailey confirmed the incident. Bridge coming for Troy. Minister with Responsibility for Works, Everett Warmington, has given an assurance that government will ensure that the Troy Bridge, which collapsed last August, causing great inconvenience for hundreds of residents and motorists, will be replaced. He was, however, quick to declare that construction of the facility could stretch over 2-year budget cycles. We have to find it funding. Look at it, won't be able to do it in one budget, so we might have to do it over 2 years, 2 budget cycles as such. We will start it and then complete it in the other year, but it has to be replaced. There is no ifs or buts about it, Warmington told reporters during a tour of the area last week. He was accompanied by Troy South Member of Parliament Marisa Darlington-Filbert, Councillor C. Jonah Gager, Jamaica Labour Party Warsop Division, a technical team from the Works Ministry, along with representatives from the National Works Agency NWA. Warmington revealed that already the NWA has commenced design work, which will be followed by the costing for the construction exercised. Once the design is completed, then we price it and we move it from there, Warmington stressed. The 125-year-old Troy Bridge, which spanned the Troy River on the southern Trelawney border, served farmers in the parishes of Trelawney and neighboring Manchester. During last week's visit, Warmington and his team also inspected a breakaway road in Sutton, among other roadways in South Trelawney that are in need of repair. The Works Minister noted that in addition to the construction of the bridge, we are looking at river training. Mr. Stephen Shaw, Communications Manager at NWA, advised me that some river training was done before, so what we do now is to continue that river training up to the bridge until we are ready to build as such, he said. The minister's visit brought relief not only to Dalrymple-Filbert and Gager, but to Manchester Northwestern Member of Parliament Michael Phillips, who later joined the party. Phillips has also drawn attention to the plight of residents and motorists since the bridge collapsed. Last week, he noted that he was mindful of the financial constraints faced by the country at this time, as he welcomed the Work Minister's commitment to replace the bridge. I am happy that the minister came to view the bridge. I didn't want it to be as if I was complaining in a vacuum about the Troy Bridge. I know that budget is tight, as we saw in the budget that was tabled in the House recently. The same amount of $70 million that was granted for bridges last year, and the year before is the same $70 million which have been bridged across the island that is in a state as the Troy Bridge is, Phillips argued. I can understand the plight of the government itself if I am to be fair. You have hundreds of bridges across the island, you have many in despair. Phillips noted that the education and farming sector have been hard hit by the collapse of the bridge, pointing out that individuals are now using a makeshift zip line to cross the river. We have a large percentage of students that live in Manchester that come to schools here in Troy. You have the health center here. There are teachers who live in St. Elizabeth that teach at the schools here. For them to traverse a road around the other route is about 15 miles. You're talking about additional petrol. You're talking about wear and tear on the vehicle, said Phillips, who is also the opposition spokesman on housing, transport and works. He added, this is an economic route for farmers because you have farmers who farm in Manchester and Trelawney will go to Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth and St. James markets. They have to take a longer route around. Gager, who was elated over the assurance given by Warmington during the tour of sections of Trelawney Southern constituency. I am feeling blessed just knowing that at least he, Warmington, is giving the parish and of course Troy in particular And of course, the breakaways by the roadside, he is looking favorable at them. It makes me feel good, very pleased and happy. I know we will have the necessary redress in the shortest time, said Gajo. The RMA almost done. Government ministers at Century's album launch Tuesday night, despite no word for the administration that entertainment events have been given the green light, was the clearest indication yet that the Prime Minister and Your Holiness is set to announce a further relaxation of the restrictions to fight the spread of the novel coronavirus. Holiness is slated to make his contribution to the 2022-2023 budget debate today, and government sources on Wednesday hinted that several of the COVID-19 prevention measures now in place will be lifted. The Prime Minister had used a February 22nd address to the nation to announce that, with Jamaica's COVID-19 numbers moving in the right direction, the time had come to relax some of the Disaster Risk Management Act (DRMA) restrictions, which were implemented to arrest the spread of the novel coronavirus. Since then, the numbers have continued to trend down, with the Health Ministry reporting 8 positive cases on Tuesday, a positivity rate of 1.9%, well below the World Health Organization 5% guideline. The ministry also reported that 65 people were hospitalized, with 8 moderately ill, 4 severely ill, and 2 people critically ill, a far cry from the days when local hospitals were being overrun by COVID-19 patients. In that February 2022 speech, Holness had also indicated that a further relaxation of the measures could come by today if the numbers remain in the right direction, but one that COVID-19 was not done. We should bear in mind that the pandemic is not over. Though we acknowledge the high level of fatigue in the society, we have to gradually widen the guardrails. We have an objective which is of great importance, and that objective is to get our children back in school after the midterm holidays, said Holness then. Since that time, face-to-face classes have resumed in most schools, while the absence of police presence to shut down a number of dances and other entertainment events has signaled a softening of the stance for breaches of the DRMA. We have to get the economy humming again in light of the latest inflation number of 10.7% and the fact that Jamaicans are just going through COVID fatigue, said a source close to Prime Minister Andrew Holness' administration on Wednesday. The government is well aware that COVID-19 is not over, but as we have been seeing, the country will now have to learn to live with COVID. It is coming down to personal responsibility, and Jamaicans will have to learn to deal with it. You can see how other countries around the world are opening up, and particularly those in this region. Jamaica cannot afford to be left behind, added the source. Around the region, the Ghana government on Tuesday announced the removal of most of the regulations that had put in place to curb the spread of COVID-19, with Attorney General Annie Nadler saying that it signals that the country is returning to semblance and normalcy. Ghana recorded 1,225 deaths and 63,147 infections linked to the virus since the first case was reported in March 2020. Also on Tuesday, the government of Grenada said it intends to remove all remaining measures put in place to curb the spread of COVID-19 next month, even as it urged citizens to continue to practice the health regulations to reduce new infections and deaths. In the meantime, the Trinidad and Tobago government announced the relaxation of several measures put in place to curb the spread of the virus that has killed 3,642 people and infected 129,000 in the Twin Island Republic since March 2020. In Antigua and Barbuda, the Health Ministry has indicated that the wearing of masks will soon become optional, while churches and places of entertainment will be allowed to open. Antigua has one of the highest vaccination rates in the Caribbean at more than 60%. Medical officials back further easing of COVID restrictions. As Jamaicans anticipate the long-awaited return to normalcy from the novel coronavirus restrictions, health authorities have signaled their support for further reductions to the existing Disaster Risk Management Act (DRMA) measures. President of Nurses Association of Jamaica, Patsy Edwards Henry, said that she is not averse to the gradual reopening process as long as the necessary evaluation is done to determine the impact on the country. We have to realize that COVID-19 is becoming endemic and it's no longer classified as a pandemic. The pandemic stage has passed. All countries and all populations have to do whatever it takes to get back to normal, Edwards Henry reported on Wednesday. I think we need to take into consideration the numbers, the positivity rate, and what has happened over the last 3 weeks with school reopening, face-to-face, and businesses opening. Based on outcomes of those reviews, then I do believe we can take steps to further move back to what we call normal, she added. Noting that people have suffered from psychological, psychiatric, and social implications since the onset of the novel coronavirus pandemic, President of Jamaica Medical Doctors Association, Dr. Mindy Fitzhedley, said further relaxation of COVID-19 measures is expected. It's been a long 2 years for many persons, especially for our children who have been out of school, and so we always know that we had to get back to that point where we could safely live with COVID-19 once we have got our numbers down, and the last couple of weeks we have been able to do that, she said. Further, Fitzhenley expressed that the country has to remain cautious and willing to adapt if the measures need to be adjusted. We understand why the restrictions are being reduced, but what we want persons to remember is that COVID-19 is not gone. As everybody can see, there are increasing numbers across the world in terms of China, United States, United Kingdom. In the US, their death rate is pretty high, losing over 1,000 Americans per day, and one death is one too many. We have to be very cautious when we are doing things. We are following the science behind it and following what's happening on the world circuit, she said. President of the Medical Association of Jamaica, Dr. Brian James expressed that he is pleased with the government's pace at relaxing the COVID-19 measures. Basically, we are quite happy that the strategy being used is to relax slowly. What is recommended is that the authorities follow what the health experts say when they assess the situation and see what the risks are, the level of immunity existing in the society, and then use the information to determine how quickly it is relaxed, he said. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, and click the notification bell for daily updates.